Welcome to another Health Tip Friday. It's been a long time. It's been a very, very, very long time. I was looking over some of my videos and I realized that I haven't did one of these in a very long time. But this week I've been inspired. So a lot of you know how I am. I kind of live through inspiration. So there's been a lot of female femininity transformations this I would say couple of weeks, but especially this week and last week. So I wrote down some topics just so I can stay on point because I'm very long-winded. Let me fix this. There we go. So usually this, I guess you can say, portion of episode is more where I either want to inspire you guys, encourage you guys, keep you guys motivated. Basically things from that I'm like, it's on my heart, so I want to just get it out. So this week and last week, it's been I've been having a lot more female connection with people from my past, as well as people, you know, that are currently in my life. And you can just see a shift in us as women. There's a lot of transformation going on right now. I know for some people that are in energy work or the science of things, you know, the moon and how it affects us, and what do they call it, the moon in retrograde and whatnot. I don't know much about that, but I definitely have been seeing patterns a lot more. And also because I do energy work and chakra balancing and stuff like that, I'm privy to understanding a little bit more of what other people just overlook, and it's pretty cool. Anyway, that's a whole nother topic. Today is more just speaking to us as women. My passion, I have seen in the last year, have steered away from, though I still love working with pregnancy and moms, it's still about women, but in a different capacity, more about self-love, self-care, self-wellness. And I see more and more and more and more, even for myself, how important it is. We take for granted how important it is, and it's evident because we always put ourselves on the back burner. Men have no problem being selfish, putting themselves first, whatnot. Women, because of the society, we put ourselves last, we self-sacrifice, and just think about that in terms of a machine. It's gonna get worn out, and so that's why so many women, you know, like I was telling my girlfriend, I said, well, I mean, think about it, that's why there's that show called Snapped, because women just, we've been taught to self-sacrifice, and that's a bad habit. It's bad. Yeah, it's just a bad habit, and it's learned habit, and it's pushed through society, and we need to change that. We need to start putting ourselves first. We need to start taking care of ourselves. We need to stop feeling like we shouldn't, like we just need a whole renewal of the mind, and in regards to what being a female is, what strength of a female is, and understanding more and more that putting yours first is selfless, because if it's like anything, even in a relationship, if you're in a relationship with yourself, how they say in a relationship, you have to, you want to meet somebody that is whole. So you have two whole people getting together, not half and half. Well, part of becoming whole is knowing yourself, um, forgiving yourself. Like there's all these layers like an onion that needs to be peeled and then you're strengthened and rebuilt up. So um, I think one episode I spoke about how I don't like when women talk about they don't like to cry. And so I'm not going to go there again, but that's an example of another societal pressure that was put on by men in our society. So today I want to really more uplift us and encourage us to like really think about how you want to live your life if there was no one else, if you had no responsibilities in life. How would you want to live your life? Write it down. Because I've had a girlfriend of mine who, you know, you have those girlfriends that you don't talk all the time, but you know, when you get together, it's just, it is what it is. And she had reached out to me, and I was on my walk and we were texting, and she was saying that she felt kind of sad because in a conversation with some other women, they were asking like, what brings you joy, you know, that type of stuff, right? And she had no answer. She did not feel confident enough to even express it. And so she reached out to me to ask me, you know, or inquire like, how do I get there? And so initially I was like, oh, you know, well, it's not as hard as you think. You know, think about something that made you smile or makes you smile without even anyone trying, or an environment that made you just, you know, feel good inside or whatever, right? And she said that, if I can remember correctly, it's not that easy for me. She's like, I got the kids, I'm working at a job that I really don't want to do. I'm in a relationship that I don't even know, like, you know, it's like these were not strengths and joys. These were like more about responsibilities. And so I took a step back and I said, okay, well, why don't you get your journal, write in there how you want to live your life unapologetically, as if you had no children, as if you had no man, as if you had no job, like, you know, dream. And then, but side note, you know, I told her, you know, like, don't think, just let your brain and your the mechanics of your hand just write, right? Because some people can get into like the grammar and stuff like that, and that throws people off, and you're not gonna flow, like that's not coming from the heart. So just write. And then it doesn't have to be that day, it can be the day after or that evening or whatever. Excuse me, oh my gosh. I woke up early. Read it and then look at it, and if it's and then look at your life. If your life is not in alignment to where you see yourself or going, then you need to make, it'll help you to see that I need to make some changes. Like, I'm not doing anything that is aligning up to what I wrote down, you know. And that just shows that, which a lot of us do, we're just living repetitiously, you know. There's no thought process in it. You just doing what you gotta do. I gotta do what I gotta do. You hear that all the time. I gotta do what I gotta do, you know, with moms and stuff like that, and women too. So far as responsibilities, right? The things that push you. I've been challenged myself in the last year to do the same thing. So I'm speaking from experience. Um, but also, you on the other spectrum, you have the uh, um, women who are good at putting on a mask, living unauthentically. So amongst everybody else in the forefront, you are happy, your life looks great, you're enjoying it, but when you're at home and you're by yourself, you're not as happy as the mask that you actually put on. And so you have to look at that and ask yourself why, why am I not living authentically? And the word authentic, actually, I had to learn through personal development, means way different than what I thought it was. And sometimes a lot of us feel it's hard to be authentic with people, and it's mainly because of judgment and acceptance of others. So, a good example is, when I was challenged with that, they had us like call two people that you felt like you were unauthentic with, and pretty much be authentic with them, apologize for not being authentic and whatnot. And in my head, first reaction was, I'm authentic. But then when they gave the definition of being authentic, which is more about not hiding behind that mask, speaking your truth. Another way they said, like, if you find yourself being different around different people, not speaking up when you want to, not, or curving the way what you say based on who you're with. You're like dumbing it down or elevating it or shifting it based on what you think another person would how they would take it. I had to admit that I I've done that myself, and so out of the two people I did reach out to, it wasn't like it was because even right now, as I'm about this, I'm trying to say what I have to say. I feel myself curving right on how I want to say it, and it's not about being blunt and rude and stuff like that to people. It's just like not being fully truthful with someone, and so. I guess what I was going to say, because I'm thinking of that one particular person. In that particular relationship, though I opened the chapter, it recently was closed again. So I think some emotion came up with that. So going back to what I was saying, being authentic with someone, I found that with that, going back to me as an example, going with that person, I would say 80%, open. But the other, based off of based off of who I knew they were, what I knew they wanted, I was not authentic in expressing myself and living my truth with that person. And so that was me being unauthentic, right? And this could be between parents and children, siblings, friends, associates, coworkers, like all of it. Another good example, just recently with a girlfriend of mine. She met someone, they are inseparable, I'm glad she's at this point, but this is where I feel like I know that I have evolved myself. And um she wanted, she was talking to me, and I had to be like a, I hate to pop her bubble, but I value our friendship, and I want her to, um, I wanted her to just think about what she was implying starting this, journey. And so they, I guess they have talked about marriage, and so they were thinking about getting married, like at a courthouse, whatever, not telling anybody, and then having a big wedding like next year or something like that. And I had to stop, and I like, it bothered me, and I was just like, why would you, that you, like, you're starting your relationship off with a lie to the people that you love. Like, you want the big wedding because weddings are really for other people, not for the groom and the bride, but you're presenting yourself as if, but you're not, you know what I mean? So like, that would be totally unauthentic. And I'll just leave it at that. So there's so many things that are so small, which she probably thought that was really small, but then, you could find yourself continually to do that, and then you're not living a very authentic lifestyle. So I challenge you guys to just, when you're interacting with people, take a break before you speak, and really think about, like, am I being authentic with this person? Like, do I have a mask in my life? Am I the one thing to this person, one thing to this person, one thing to this person? And if they were all in the same room, would they even recognize you? Like, you should be the same person. Like, if I mean, I know for myself, I'm just one of those personalities where I can get along with pretty much everyone. And I laugh because I know I've been in situations where some of my friends are like, how are you friends with this person? And it comes down to acceptance of who they are versus who I want them to be, as well as boundaries. I know that certain people, their personalities are, and I'm like, even killed. So I can only spend time with those type of people for minutes, my minute time frames. And then others, be around them all the time, because our personality is a little bit more matching or whatnot. But it doesn't mean that I can't be friends with that other person because they're, up here and I'm down here, or they're rich and I'm poor. Like, that's what society does, like all these classisms and all that kind of stuff. Like, we're all still human, that's my point, is we're all awesome humans, and we need to celebrate that. We need to own that, and we also need to stop judging so much. Golly gee, like, every time I'm hearing women talk, because I've been privy to so many people just sharing and sharing and sharing and sharing and sharing and sharing and pouring out to me in sessions, that you see a pattern after a while, and it's all really about judgment and not being accepted. And you can hear it in there, and it's like, the more I get more into it, I can see it. I'm listening to them talk, and they don't even realize what they're saying. Yeah. So, word of the day: be authentic. What else do I have on here? Examples of loving yourself. Okay, so, I always have to use myself as an example because I'm on this journey just like you. Just recently, I did a cleanse, and it was a 3-day, the master cleanse, right? Most people are familiar with the lemonade, cayenne pepper, maple syrup, cleanse. And so my friend was doing a little 3-day one. So I was like, oh, you know what? Let me hop on that, you know? And I remember I did this years ago and I could not, I failed. Even with the 3 days. I was supposed to do it a week. Yeah, it was done. But because I have been doing intermittent fasting for the last several years, this time was easier for me. And with that of trying again, I actually wasn't distracted by, oh, I'm hungry. I was then enlightened by my relationship with food. And so what I saw was checking in with myself. I wasn't hungry, but I was missing the repetition of chewing or putting hand to mouth. And I realized that I definitely overeat. Hence why I grew. And now I'm on the journey to lose weight. And then the other part, I was listening to something, and I don't know, I may have heard it before, but it just resonated at this time for me about when you love yourself, right? We always think, oh, of course I love myself. But to truly love yourself is to take care of yourself. And most people don't. People do look at weight gain as not taking care of yourself, but I don't think they understand it to the extent that it really, like what it really means. And so that's the that's what I saw. So on my runs now, you know, though I'm listening to like rap, hip hop, whatever music, and I'm starting to get tired, I verbally say, I love myself. I love myself. I love myself. And it reminds me why I'm freaking out there running and pushing myself. It's because I love myself. And if I love myself, I'm going to take care of myself. Now, that's one example. And that's for me in my journey. But the other part of that journey, like I tell people all the time, because this is part of my wellness, right? My wellness practice. And I'm educating people to take care of themselves. And we really don't realize all the from one end to the other of taking care of yourself. Some people might think taking care of yourself is eating right and exercising. That's one aspect. What about the mental take care of yourself? What about the emotional take care of yourself? What about the spiritual part of take care of yourself, and the financial part? And there's, you know, that's a big spectrum, right? We usually do one. We'll focus on one. You know, but we never get around to all of them once we master the other one. So I went to Panama, and at the end of it, because it was for my girl's birthday, she wanted to do spa. And I usually don't do spa on my vacation because I'm a therapist, a massage therapist, and wellness coach. And I usually find that mentally I had the wrong mentality about it. I'm not going to spend money on that because they're not going to give me, you know, most pamper stuff. I'm not, you know, da 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 da. I'm always more about the fix it work. But even myself, to humble myself, because after that 3-hour pamperment, I was like, girl, I feel like I've been elevated. This is how we're supposed to end all of our vacations now. Like, are you serious? Like, and it reminded me of my cousin. She's definitely more of a luxury pamper traveler. And now I understand why. I mean, I got scrubbed, I got massaged, and I got a facial. And, you know, just making you feel special with the robes and the, it was her birthday, so they gave her champagne and strawberries, and like, that's not what you get to do in your everyday life. um so just know I'll be into my vacations like that from now on. Because I really, 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 really did feel more elevated. Like I leveled up, like I just didn't know. I knew to take care of myself so far as the aches and pains, but, and it's funny that I didn't, because when I'm massaging my regular clients, every so often I always check in with them and I'm like, hey, do you want a regular massage today? Because usually I know them, so if they come in a little bit more beat down looking, or you just know the energy differences, right? Like, do you want a relaxing massage today? And they'll think about it. They'll stop and they'll be like, you know what? Yes, I do. I had a hard day today. Why didn't I think about that by myself? I'm always looking for fix-it work with myself. Now I do little pamperings for myself. I love taking Epsom salt baths. I love to get massaged, but usually it's in a combination of being fixed. But to just get it's all about you, pampering. It's like being pouring back to myself, which is something I'm learning too. Not just learning, but it's a gradual learn, right? I'm getting better each time and leveling up each time, and of awareness. Really, you have to be aware. And so part of loving myself is pampering myself as well, not just the maintenance, you know and it can be as extravagant as doing all like a 3-hour pamper treatment on a vacation, to just making sure that in your house you have a tub, take the bath, put the bubbles, put the oil in there, like aromatherapy that thing up like you were at a spa. Take some time for you to just do nothing but relax, because how often do you get to do that? So yes, self-love is so important. Understand that there's a dang cat passing my doorway. Understand that there's different levels of self-care. A good example, my girlfriend, she's going through divorce. She comes from a different background culturally, as well as just, we all grew up different, right? What our parents instilled in us, whatever. But as you get an adult, you can either keep those truths, traditions, cultural norms, or you could look at it and see, is this what I want for my life? Is this working for me? Because I find, talking to a lot of people that are raised certain different ways and have different cultures and there's a lot of stress in it, versus living life the way that you want. They're worried about what their mama was gonna say, their daddy gonna say. They're worried about how this person at the church is gonna perceive them to be, and This is your life. You live it the way that you want. You, depending on if you're a believer, your relationship with God is with your relationship with God, not no one else's and the way they think it is and whatever, at the end of the day. So taking care of your, like I said earlier, that whole spectrum of mental, emotional, spiritual, physical, and financial, you need to hit all those points of interest, and a lot of it comes from education, and that's why I am a wellness coach. And what a coach does, they educate, they give you perspective, give you tips, guidance, whatnot, of what you may not have known. And then I have my person, because everybody has to have a person that they go to and continually to grow. like they said, if you're the smartest person in your group, then you're in the wrong group, basically, because you're already at the ceiling. You should be at the bottom of your group so that you can learn and, and get better. So, take the time to look at your life in that perspective, and do more for yourself, and don't be so hard on yourself. That's probably the next thing I'm going to talk about when it comes to women. Women, you guys are too hard on yourselves. Way freaking too hard on yourselves. My God. I cannot believe the stuff that comes out of your mouth sometimes when you're on my table. And it's unrealistic expectations for yourself. And a lot of times it's us putting it on ourselves. I'm like, who told you got to do that? No one. You told yourself that you got to do that. Step back. I've told people, step back. Let life play out and see if you wasn't there, is everything going to fall apart? Or are others going to step up? People don't allow others to step up in situations. Learn to lean back. Chill. Observe. Observing is a good technique. You learn a lot in just observation. When you're just go, you miss stuff. You miss a lot. And that goes for parents too, when it comes to just busy. If you so busy, you are definitely gonna miss some stuff. And examples of that is how life slows you down in those busy moments. When you're doing too much, you find yourself in car accidents, you find yourself tripping and falling over just the ground. You find you're like, what happened? There's no one around me, there's just the ground. I tripped over a rock, or I tripped over this or that. I tripped over my own foot, like, it's some stupid stuff. But I remember somebody telling me a lot of times that's how life slows you down, because when you're injured, you can't do what you want to do. You have to slow down. And some of those lessons are not good, because it takes you out for a while. And but obviously, we kind of needed it, because other than that, you probably wouldn't slow down, and you wouldn't change. You wouldn't have time to think. You wouldn't have time to do a lot of stuff that you just ain't doing when you're busy. So yeah. Next topic, listen to your inner self. To be authentic to yourself, I've already talked on, but to listen to your inner self, I'll just say my mentor, I had asked a question, and she once told me that what people really don't realize is that every question that they have, the answer is within them, and they don't even realize it, because they don't spend enough time with themselves. It's like why people say meditate and be in silence, so you can listen, or like praying and waiting on God to give you your answer. We're so impatient. And we're the society of want things now. But taking the time, there is a beauty in taking your time and genuinely connecting with yourself. And you won't know what I'm saying, or you won't understand what I'm saying until you've actually done it. And most people are afraid. Most people are afraid to go within, because they're afraid of what they may see. And as goody two shoe as I was growing up, and I'll just leave it at that. When I did it, there was things I didn't like about myself, and it surprised me, and it made me cry. And I realized it doesn't matter about how good you are. we all got issues. We all got things about ourselves that we always need to work on, right? Because no one's perfect. And so I challenge people. It's the hardest thing in the world, because it's easy to judge with people, but to go within yourself, evaluate yourself, and see your lack. Now that's being authentic. Taking the time to do that. And so some people may say, well, how do I, even start? How do I even do that? It's really just looking at your relationships. I found listening to complaints that you may it doesn't even have to be a lot, but periodically have gotten. Hopefully you have true friends that could actually share with you, because half the time you can just ask, is there anything that I do that you find that I can work on? You can just leave it at that, but just be ready for what comes back at you. And then, because most of us are going to have a defensive mechanism that pops up, take that time to look at it from a different perspective and see if it is true, or if it's just a misunderstanding. And if so, then you can clear that up too. But most of the time, if others are seeing it, because we can't really see a lot of stuff in that we do, because we're not objective enough to do that. If one person says, the second person says, the third person said, like they say, 3 strikes you're out, you probably are doing that particular thing, or you have that lack of in you regarding that particular thing. So just be open, and then you can start working on it. Awareness is everything. And it's okay. I need to speed this up. Find your joy, and what does that look like? So I did speak on that, when I was talking about my girlfriend who said she didn't know what her joy was. Examples I did give her during that time, using myself as an example, is I realized it's been a blessing how God set up my life, in a sense of when I started doing my purpose, I left traditional corporate world, and I don't say this a lot, but a lot of people didn't know, but the chunk of money and I literally did a leap of faith. Like, okay, God, you got me. I'm about to test this out. $500 difference from what I left to starting from scratch doing, body work, because I had to build a practice. And it was a challenge, but because I was doing something I love, people's response was, I want to see you again. I want to see you again. I want to see you again. And I'm happy and joyful that I took that leap of faith, because I don't have the stress that a lot of, I hate to say, you people got. And that's the joy on one other level, career-wise. Environmentally, so because I started working in body work again, I started my career in Hermosa Beach, California, and I was with a company for, it would have been 8 years if they wouldn't have closed their office. And it was wonderful, because like I said, I was just starting, right? So I was not fully booked when you first start. So on breaks, I may have 1 or 2 people that day. What would I do? I would walk down to the beach. The water fills my soul. I realized, and it was a realization one day when I was going from, eventually the owner opened up 2 spots, one in Hermosa, one in Manhattan. And so we, can go in between each one of them. So what happened was, you start learning the area, the neighborhood, so you don't have to take the main streets anymore. You can just hop on through the neighborhood and get there quicker. So nevertheless, every single time, and it started happening because I would take this particular route each time, every single time. So imagine you're going up to the neighborhood and it's a hill. So the hills are kind of steep. So by the time you're like this, all you see is sky, and then it starts to go like this, and then you see water. A smile came over my face instantaneously without me trying. It just brought me joy just to see it, right? And it happened a couple times. I remember calling my dad, and I'm like, you know what? I realized that water brings me joy. Like, if I'm angry, if I'm having a hard time, if I'm whatever, you can't find me, you probably find me somewhere near water, a lake or something or whatever, that connection to that energy is what brings me joy. Hence, most of my vacations are tropical. Give me some sun, some beach, and some water, maybe a drink, cocktail, but it's the water. It's the water. It's the water for me. It brings life, and even most people know the water is very healing. Water is very healing for your insides. That's why I say drink lots of water. And then if you have ailments, water, especially seawater, is great for the outside, skin problems and stuff like that. So water is everything. And so for me, like I had a loss. I wasn't think I was gonna share that, but I had a loss. I lost my son at he came early, like almost 6 months. And during that grieving process and getting myself back together, I remember I wrote down things I want to accomplish for that particular year. So it was more of a task-oriented thing to keep me busy, right? I became very busy, and a lot of times we do that in grief. We keep ourselves busy because we don't want to think about it. And where was I going with that? Sheesh. What was the topic? Oh, find your joy. Yes. I remember now. So in that, getting myself together part, I looked at my life and I said, okay, I don't have a man, I don't have a child, so I can really focus on what I want to do. And travel has been something that I remember doing a book report in probably 5th grade. We had to be I guess like a book report of where you would want to go or travel to or whatever. And I remember I did it in Hawaii. Still haven't been to Hawaii, but I guess I'm saying that was the travel and desire to and to go all over the place was there from a childhood. And so that's when I decided what is my passion. And so my passion had become traveling. And so I've been traveling ever since. And it makes me happy. A good realization to that is this trip I just took to Panama, because we were quarantined. Most people know me. I usually go somewhere at least 2 to 3 times a year. And because we couldn't go anywhere, I was starting to feel like a crackhead, like I need to get out, And so in December, I was able to go to Cabo on a girls trip. That gave me life. But when I was in Panama, because we weren't able to get into the ocean water. But when I was in Panama, we were able to get in the ocean water. And I just remember once I got in there, I felt so alive. I felt so connected again, to earth, to me, to spirit. I remember, like, if you look at, well, you can't look at my vlog right now because I accidentally moved some photos. Anyway, I gotta redo it or else it would have been up. But there is, oh, but I do have it on my IG, a clip of where I had already been in the water. I came out and I was like, I need to go back in or whatever. But I was just saying, I just remember hearing myself say it as I was re-looking at it. And I'm just like, I am so happy. Like, water just makes me happy. So when you're thinking about what makes you happy and what brings you joy, if you don't have this type of enthusiasm, you haven't found it yet. You have not found it yet, because you need to find it. You need to find it because life is already freaking hard. It's beats us down, it's challenging, and you need an outlet. We all need to know what or where we can go to get that outlet. Everybody does, but we're especially us women, because we we deplete ourselves so much that we need somebody or something to pour back into us. And it's important for our sanity, for our soul, for our minds, for our emotion, like just the whole body, right? It's so important. You make better decisions, you move differently in life, you're a little bit more carefree, you're not rigid, you have better perspective because you're not on 10 all the time. You actually have an ebb and flow of things, you know. Like a lot of my friends, they're like, they call me a turtle, right? So I've always been slow. I get that from my dad. I think it's on that whole side of the family. We just lay back people. But just like I always say, the turtle is my my spirit animal. A turtle is reverend because they live very long. They are protected by their shell, but they're soft and squishy inside. They observe, and they're very known for being wise. So I don't mind being called a turtle, or oh, she's slow or whatever, because I know that I'm an observer, you know. And observing type individuals are definitely more they usually are more wise, because they're taking the time to take a lot of things in, and they're analyzing it. So instead of the hare, I'm the turtle, but I have some friends that are hares, and we balance each other out. So, you know, look around your friend group, peer group, and just see, are you the turtle or are you the hare? There's positives and negatives of both. So far as finding your joy, that comes with observation, that comes with trying different things. There's so many of us that don't get out and try things. You need to try things at least once to know that you don't like it. And the only reason I pause, because yes, there are some things that you know that you don't like. But even like, as I'm thinking about myself on heights, even though I don't like heights, I still challenge myself with them to a certain degree, right? I remember when I was in the military. If you don't know, I'm an Army vet. But part of the freaking obstacle course thing was paralleling down a freaking wall. I had no idea that was coming. But I can remember the feeling I had being at the top of that darn thing and knowing that I had to go down that thing. It let me know something about myself during that time. That in a pinch, one, I'm competitive, two, I'm a survivor, and three, I will take a challenge in uncomfortableness. There's a shift that happens, I know. And so it's not like I'm gonna do it thousands of times again, but I got through it and I passed, because it was one of those exercises. It was a pass, go or no go, as they called it. And I didn't want to not go. I didn't want to not pass, I guess I was trying to say. So, I did it. Went within and just inner strength, boom, just do it. Another time in my life, ziplining. Family vacation, went ahead and did it, boom, yes. I could have stopped at 7, but it was, we paid for 11 zip lines, so I wanted my money's worth. And even with that, I realized it wasn't the zip itself, it was the start and stop for me. Like, you're telling me to step off of this ledge, like, the brain, it's like, no comprende, and then the stopping, because you're going so fast, you're trying to do things. Well, this particular, I realize now after going on that particular one in Costa Rica, not every country has the same type of zip lines. Some are manual and some are automated on the stop. So, but all I'm saying is I don't like heights, and I've still pushed myself to do it. This past quarantine time, we went to Horseshoe Bend. Again, I don't like heights. And I was so freaking nervous just watching people on that edge. Oh my gosh. Like, it just gave me all kind of tingles inside. And it's really, I realize it's about the control thing. Like, there's nothing to hold on to. There's nothing to grip onto being on that edge. So y'all people who like to be on the edge like that, I don't get it. I just don't have that. I'm a risk taker, but I'm a calculated risk taker. I ain't that risk taker that's just like, we're gonna just see what happens, and so the friends that I was with, they were the ones that were like on that edge, and I'm just like, oh God, please come back. I can't even look. I don't even want to know. But I guess what I'm saying is, you're not gonna know what you don't like or you don't like until you try certain things, right? Period. I'm not saying you got to go jump on bungee cord jumping or jumping out of a plane or whatever to know that you don't like something, but there are different levels that you can try, right? Yeah. And the last thing that I have down here is spiritual awakening. So that is one thing that a lot of people don't talk about at all in the forefront. Now, there's talks, but it's usually among groups of people, but not necessarily like your everyday talk. We're in a Western world, so I understand why, because everything's separated. The mind, body, soul, spirit connection is separated, as if they don't go together, they don't affect each other or nothing. Pause, please. Okay, I'm back. So when it comes back to spiritual awakening, I don't know if it seems like it's taboo for people or they just don't understand it. We are spirit. When we die, we're left with a spirit, period, and so there's people who believe in reincarnation. There's people who believe in heaven, like, oh, you go to heaven, whatever you freaking want to believe. My point is, we're spirit. And you don't even know what your spirit, like, you don't even know that realm, you know, physical, something you can touch, you know. You barely know mental and emotional, so I can understand why people don't even understand spirit, because it's something that they can't see. But it doesn't mean that it's not there. um, so you find a lot of people on their journey in life. Eventually, you're going to start connecting to your spiritual side of yourself. I guess you could think of it like having multiple personalities, right? Your consciousness, your subconsciousness, um, um, your soul, your spirit, whatever. But I think it's important to, like I said, be well-rounded in everything. You should know your body. You should know, just like I always tell people, you should know your body more than you, right? Well, you should know yourself more than someone else. And knowing self is understanding spirit. And so people that do body work, natural healers, they understand spirit more than the average everybody else. I'll just put it like that. Everybody else, because everybody else is more mental. You know, I just have to give examples. So my girlfriend right now is going through a spiritual awakening, same one that's going through divorce. And so she's been going to counseling, which is great. It's been helping her with because you know, when you've been in a marriage for so long, you lose self because you're pleasing, as women, others, because we're pleasers usually, and self-sacrificing. So she's learning to find out who she is as a person, not married, and what she likes, and you know, all that good stuff. So by her being around me, you know, I talk about a lot of stuff like that she ain't never heard of, whatever. And, you know, I'm like getting her to stop saying it's weird. Just because something you've never heard of or experienced and don't understand does not make it weird. It's different, but it's not weird. It's just not in your arena. So hell, I'll even take it's interesting. But a situation happened with her. We went to San Diego, did a day trip down there, and we're taking, it was two reasons why, but anyway, taking her niece back home towards that way. Niece is familiar with the area, and she wanted to take us to this ice cream place. We stopped into but next door to it was a like crystals and what do you call it, aromatherapy and all that good stuff in there, right? And so instantly we're walking around. Of course, they have jewelry, and you know, a lot of the colors were like different chakra colors, yada yada yada, right? And so because not a lot of people are connected with self, when it comes to being drawn to things, understanding why you're drawn to those things, and not just ignoring it like, I don't know, you know. She was playing with you, looking at these bracelets, and then these anklets, and then she went and saw these bracelets, and these bracelets she kept picking up one by one, and she just kept touching them, and then she was like, man, I don't know. She's like, I feel drawn to these, whatever. I was like, good, you know. I said, obviously, you know, it's like intent. Your body knows what you need. And sometimes, well, all the time, whether we recognize it or not, it is what it is. But, so I told her, I said, good. I said, no, you know, ask the person, like, what do these stones mean, you know? And so the guy, he kind of looked at it. I could tell right off afterwards. After he started talking, he was still learning himself. So, but within the store, he said, go into the other side. Each stone is in there individually and has cards, and you can like read up on it. So that, you know, that's what she did. So we were in there probably a good 15 minutes or whatever. I was drawn to some stuff, these two anklets I got, and ended up buying those. And then we, at one point, she was saying she was starting to feel like she had a headache. And I was like, well, I'm not surprised. I mean, there's a lot of energy in here right now, between a lot of people coming in, and then just the stones and all that stuff, and that was in there itself, holding energy. And so, long story short, the owner, I guess I'm gonna assume that she was the owner. She seemed like she was. Told her to come here, and she said told her the same thing. She said there's a lot of energy in this in this store because of the stones, and there's a lot of people in here. She said if you need to, go outside, get some fresh air, and then come back in. And for my friend, this was just like, what the heck's going on with me? I don't understand. Like, why am I feeling like this? And so she ended up spraying some lavender spray on her, and then told her to try to ground herself, and a lot of people don't even know what grounding means, but basically connecting with the earth, and because that's foundation, right? It's like the roots of a tree. And so as she was doing that, she was just amazed at how clear she felt. And she later on, in retrospect, after the whole experience, because she kept talking about it on the way home, but she was like, oh my gosh, I've never felt like that before. I've never had anything happen like that before. And I was like, it's okay. I was like, I bet you've never tried to tap into your, that side of yourself either. You've never been in that environment. You're, where you work is very analytical. So you're always in analytical mode. Like, she's very, she's a perfectionist. She's, I have to like, slow down, calm down. You ain't got to be in a rush, and so literally, I think I got a text the next day saying like she looked all of them up. She wrote them down in her, this book, whatever. Like, she's having a spiritual awakening. She's understanding, like I told her, I said, it's like, it reminds me of the Matrix. You're thinking this is the real world, but not really. There's more to it than you know. And so so it's like she's taking the red pill. So these curtains have been, so she's now learning, there's more there's more going on than there is, and she's interested, and she's gaining insights, and it's bettering her, and balancing her. That's really what it is. It's how you have to have a balance, or else you're just going to feel like there's something missing in your life. You're going to feel like you're just at a blockade, that you're stuck. And I think we all have had that situation where, like, you should be doing something different, but you seem like you cannot get out of this rut. That's usually the sign that you need to dig deep and go within, switch it up. A lot of people okay, two things that just came in my head. One, a lot of people think they have to stay in this regimented lifestyle of how society has set it up for us. Go to school, go to college, find a guy, have children, they get married, like, just, and you have to go in that order. And that's not life. That's not living. Like, if that's what you want to do, do it. But you shouldn't feel shamed. You shouldn't feel guilty. You shouldn't feel like judged, because everybody gonna judge you no matter what. But you shouldn't allow the judgment to get in your way about things, because it's your life at the end of the day. Like, if that person died tomorrow, their judgment, their opinion is not going to matter. You probably going to be freer because you now don't, because you were so worried about that judgment that, oh wow, they're gone, so I can do what I want. Well, your life may not, life is too short to be living somebody else's life. I guess that's really what I'm saying. And it's something I had to learn. And I'm still, as much as I am enlightened and understand, sometimes some of those pulls are just that strong. And that's why we have to continue to dig deep within ourselves and have some, more spiritual awakenings, more self-awarenesses, self-care, get to know yourself, and that way, a good example, a good something, so something a client we had discussed years ago, which made me, I couldn't wait to get into my 40s. I could not wait to get to my 40s. So the way she put it was, when you're in your 20s, that is the time you messing up, you exploring life. You ain't thinking about no consequences, you having fun. You hit your 30s, you still having fun, there's still some consequences, you're still learning about yourself, but you're starting to look at life a little bit different, have more responsibilities or whatever. She said, but when you hit your 40s, so that's why you start hearing women in their 40s and 50s, life is good, because you stop living life for others. 20s, 30s, teenagers, you're living life for other people. You're living life for your parents because they raised you a certain way. You're living life for your coaches if you're in a team because they're dependent on you. You're living life for social norms of I should be doing this, I should be doing that. But I think once you hit your 40s and 50s, you're it's like that thing of old people. Once you get old people, grandparents, whatever, they just don't care. They just say whatever's on their mind, out their mouth, because they I've been living this life too long not to be myself. And I think that's where I think 40s is kind of where it starts, where you're I really don't care. And it feels good. It feels good not to care. It feels good not to care about what other people is thinking. Because at the end of the day, when me or you are by ourselves alone, are we happy? Or are we not happy? Are we content? Are we wishing we could have, would have, did it, da 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 da? It doesn't take away, and I'm not saying everything lightly of it's not a challenge, because it's always going to be a challenge within yourself, because those thoughts and processes were ingrained in us from a child. It's been repeated and recorded or whatever, it's like that saying, be careful what you hear and see, whatever, because that becomes your norm, and that becomes your perspective. And so when in contrast, if you were always elevated as a child and you could do this and you can do that, kind of like the rich, the way they're raised, they're right there with their parents, watching them make deals, watching them this. So for another person on the other side, they seem entitled. And yes, a lot of times they are, but they are because that's the way they were raised to be. There is no other way, in a sense, right? And so it's those who weren't raised that way, if you don't have anybody pushing you in and guiding you and molding you to that, you later have to do that for yourself, or get into a community that's going to help you do that. No one in this world makes it on their own. And I think that's the myth, especially of this independent women. No one's independent, because if you're independent, you by yourself, you ain't got nobody to do nothing for you. And you ain't got nobody around you to be doing nothing. Now, you may be a self-starter, you may be, have the brains of this, but you need people. We are community type beings, human beings. That's why, a good example, this whole pandemic showed people how having a, you're not supposed to be around nobody, but there was a lot of us in a little, had we still had our little cocoon of people because we needed to be socially involved with people, or else, you're pretty isolated. That's a whole another subject. That is a whole another mental, So, um, you have we're a community, um, and so the more, even myself, learning about community networking and not be afraid to ask for help and all that good stuff. It has enriched my life, not made it any worse. Um, and I think that's why, for me, that this part of my personality, I'm glad I'm like, or I have this, is that if you were to look at the people that I'm cool with, or that I hang with, um, it's like a rainbow. It ranges, from successful people to people that don't have much, very positive people. Well, I don't really have a lot of negative people. I just refuse that. So that's probably the only other problem I don't have. But those negative people, I still, because I have a heart, I still try to always encourage. So I guess you could say I still have them around, but just not in the same space as others. And then from color and creed to cultures and backgrounds, why not? You learn from everybody. You can see the positives and negatives. Oh, I may not want to do that. Oh, okay, I should be doing that. And even still, even with all that, you still have your own self to make the decisions to do things. Hence me making this video. It's been slapping me in the face being consistent with this health channel. And so I literally told myself today, oh, it's Friday, you need to make a video. I didn't want to. Making myself presentable. I wanted to be lazy, and I want to be lazy. Like, there are days that I just don't want to do nothing. And that's okay. And I realize that's okay. Some people would be like, oh, I can't do that. Try it. It's good for the soul. But all I'm saying is, just understand, this is my passion. And even when you have a passion, even though you have a gift, it doesn't mean that it's always easy to fulfill that gift or that passion, because we all still have other parts of personality that or recordings in our head to stop us from doing a lot of this stuff. So I'm on the journey with you. As I learn, I share, and that's community. So we're already at an hour and 13 minutes, so I'm gonna wrap it up. And here it is, I wrote stuff down and I'm still long-winded, but like I said, this is community. I hope someone gets something out of it. I hope that hell, you guys could share with me, because what I'm realizing is, more and more, I need to find people that's going to pour back into me, because I'm too much of a giver, that I deplete myself. I remember getting a session, and energy session, and she literally just told me, your sacral chakra is depleted. That's not good. So what's helping me even with doing these my health channel is it's helping me give back to myself, because one, I'm verbalizing with you guys what needs to be done. I'm hearing it, and it'll help me to implement. And then because I'm having different segments on the channel, so this is Health Tip Fridays. Then I will be doing more interviews to educate, because I like educating people and just giving people knowledge so that you could have choices. I'm that one. I like choices in life. There's some people that like a repetition. I like choices. And I feel that the more choices health-wise that we have, which is education, we can do better with ourselves and take care of ourselves. Because if you don't know that there's other things that you can do to take care of yourself, you can't do that self-care I'm talking about. You can't do that spiritual awakening that I'm talking about. And you can't learn, to be gentle with yourself. So women, promise me that you will take the time each day to just connect with you and to be mindful, take inventory, so that you can make your changes. And they can be something small each day, even just telling yourself when you're in the midst of things that are challenging, I love myself, reminding you why you're doing certain things. For moms, I know usually you're doing certain things because of your children, but your children won't have that benefit if mom is not her best. And I think that's what most women, as well as moms, need to understand. You can't give your best if you're not at your best. If you're like me, on empty, there's nothing for you to give. So you're at a lack. So your husband, your partner, your child, they're not getting the best of you. They're getting the last of you, the rundown you. If they saw the difference of what self-care does and how loving and giving you can be, because you have gas in the tank, I'm sure they'll be okay with that. Oh, mom, you're going to go get your massage? Okay, I'll see you later. Because when you come back, you sure are nicer, you sure are this or that, whatever, same thing with your partner. They have to see the differences of you to know, okay, we're going to support her on this one. You know what I mean? And you have to have your boundaries of setting that I'm going here. This is my time. And when I come back, we can have our time. You know what I mean? Like, it's an example that you're setting up for your spouse, your partner, and yourself and children about self-care and being gentle with themselves as a human being. So I'm out before I talk some more, and I hope to see you guys next Friday. Please, I'm probably gonna break this up into 2 parts because it's pretty long. Unless you guys are like me, when I watch YouTube videos, I don't mind them being long. You guys can let me know, because this is your community as well. If you have any topics that you would like me to talk about on Health Tip Friday, let me know. Other than that, I will see you next Friday. Bye.